So what's about to kick off? We all believe it's altcoin season about to kick off. Well, if you're a sports fan, even if you're not, you're going to know this analogy. It's preseason, right? If alt season is the season, then we are in preseason. So what do you do in preseason? What do the teams do in preseason? What do the players do? What do the coaches do? What do the general managers do? That's what we need to be doing right now, and that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what phase we're in, and then what to do in preseason. Because in preseason, you don't just sit around. If I were to ask you, what are you going to do when alt season starts? You'd probably say, make lots of money. Okay, great. How are you going to make lots of money? Well, I'm going to sell my coins. Okay, great. What are you going to price you're going to sell them at? Tell me about one coin. What price do you sell at? I don't know. Okay, then you don't have a plan. You're not ready. You haven't mapped out what you're going to do when the season starts. Bad idea. So first, if you would hit like, put a lot of time into these, subscribe. There's a join button if you want to join just the members community. Now there's a link down below to my school community that I always talk about. You can have discussions with me directly. We have multiple classes to teach you all sorts of things. If you're new to crypto or even advanced and you're stuck on some things, hop in, and there's also discussions on individual crypto. All right, now let's look at where we are in the phases. I've seen this a million times. The idea being, if you're new to crypto, even if you're not, that Bitcoin starts to move first in price appreciation. Then Ethereum starts to move next. A lot of the top 100 coins are built on top of Ethereum. Ethereum's needed and necessary to do all sorts of transactions. And then into alt season, starting with usually large caps, larger ones, and then down to alt season. And then down to, all the rest of the crypto. Now, you might say to yourself, well, why does this sort of happen? Well, if you're in Bitcoin and you start to see gains and you think that those gains might be slowing down, or say you bought it at 70,000 or 100,000, and you're looking at a 2x at 140 or 200,000. And you think to yourself, well, you know what? Some of these other cryptos, they might do a 4x or a 5x. So people start chasing larger gains. And then the general market, what they call retail, but people who don't deal with crypto a lot start coming in and getting excited because Bitcoin's moving and so are other things. So Bitcoin has been moving, as we all know. Once it crossed 100,000, that was a big deal. And then it got up to 110,000 and higher. So Bitcoin is moving up. Ethereum. Are we in the Ethereum phase yet? I would say yes. If we look at Ethereum here, it was just April 9th when it hit a low of $1,400. And if I grab that here and I run it up to what it just peaked at the other day, which was 2,800, you're going to see that that was 100% gain. It went from $1,400. So a lot of people are saying, well, it was recently that it was around $4,000, which was in the end of December of 2024. It was not long ago, 4,000. So when is Ethereum going to start moving? Well, it's already moved. It has moved 100% since its low. All right, next let's look at the Ethereum and BTC chart. And this shows when the line's going down, essentially, Bitcoin is outperforming Ethereum. What does that really mean? Well, if Bitcoin is going up by 5% a day, and Ethereum is going up by 1% a day, then Bitcoin's outperforming. If Bitcoin starts going up by 5%, but Ethereum's going up by 10%, then Ethereum's outperforming Bitcoin. All right, so that's what we want to see. We want to see Ethereum start to outperform Bitcoin. And here we go. It had bottomed down here, and now it's moving up. So this was Bitcoin outperforming Ethereum. Now Ethereum is starting to outperform Bitcoin. Next, let's look at coin market cap. This is the alt season index. There's 100 different cryptos. And if 75 or more of them are outperforming Bitcoin, then we're up in this blue area. They call that alt season because those altcoins are performing. Notice it's not. It's at 24. We're not in an alt season yet. The other thing we look at when we're trying to determine whether or not alt season has yet kicked off is we look at Bitcoin dominance. We talk about this a lot. You can see here in the last run up, when Bitcoin dominance starts to drop, that's when we have an alt season. It's been going up quite a bit. Now, it has been dropping here recently, and that's what people will point at, but it's still fairly high. Now, we're looking for Bitcoin, what they call dominance, to drop. That doesn't necessarily mean the price of Bitcoin has to start going down. We can still have the Bitcoin price going up. It's just a smaller percentage of the entire market cap of all crypto. So don't think you're waiting for Bitcoin price to drop. Nope, just its dominance. Now, whether or not that's dropping, as you can see, sometimes it'll drop and then go back up, drop, go back up. Not uncommon. This is a good one called Pi Cycle Indicator. When these two moving averages cross, usually within 3 days, then this is for real a drop. So we want to see it start dropping, and then we want to see these moving averages cross. All right, so where does that put us? Well, in terms of the path to alt season, we've got Bitcoin moving. We know phase 1 has already started. Ethereum, in my mind, has started as well as of April 9th because it went up 100% in price. And now we want to see alt season for real start. Okay, what could potentially be a catalyst for that? In June 18th, the Fed is going to announce whether or not they'll have rate cuts. They haven't had any this year. Last year, they said they would have 2 this year potentially. So I think from what I've seen, the market is expecting some rate cuts. It's not necessary. It doesn't have to happen. It would definitely help, and it could potentially kick things off. I wouldn't be surprised if we sort of move sideways between now and that Fed announcement, regardless of which way it goes. We still have global money supply going up, which is pushing things higher. But I'm thinking from now to the 18th, I'm going to call that my altcoin preseason, where we should all have plans as to exactly what we're going to do. So let's talk about that. First off, let's call it preseason trades. Why don't you look at all the crypto you have and force yourself to pick one that you like the least? And what I mean is, as you've been watching the crypto over time and you're seeing some of the changes, meaning some of the things they've done or accomplishments they've had, well, out of that list, one of them is doing the best, one of them is doing the worst. Circle the one that's doing the worst. Then think to yourself, what's a crypto that you don't currently own, that you've heard quite a bit about and you're interested in? And then think, okay, is that one more interesting than what you believe is your worst one? Then you might want to swap. Let's call that the preseason trade. It's possible. Now, you don't have to swap the whole thing. If you have $4,000 in this one and you want to get another one that you don't have, you could just move $2,000, whatever it is. But consider it. It's not a bad idea to always look at your portfolio and say, what's the worst performer? That's the one that might have to go. Just like in a company, every now and then you ask a couple people, you look down the roll and you say, out of everyone, these 2 people stink. They're out. It's not how you talk about it, but always go through HR and make sure you do it right. All right, second thing, because in business, you can't fire fast enough. Just remember that. If ever you're managing a huge group of people and someone's a bad apple and they're causing problems, the rule is you can't fire fast enough. After you fire someone, which is very difficult to do because it's someone's job and their livelihood and it's a painful thing, but usually people drag it on. And then once they fire them, everyone else starts performing better. And then you look around and you say, man, should have done that a long time ago. All right, so if you've got one that you don't think is going to perform well, get rid of it. Don't dilly-dally, get rid of it and get a better one. Second thing, diversify. I talk about this a lot. Diversification comes in many different forms. One, well, let's talk about maybe 3 different things. If you look at CoinMarketCap, you can see things are in categories. Decentralized finance is one of my favorite. RWA, real world assets. And within decentralized finance, I might break it down. So we're talking about categories. I want to have coins in categories I think will do well. Let me just name the couple that I really like. Real world asset tokenization, artificial intelligence, decentralized physical infrastructure, decentralized finance, we talk about real world assets, AI, gaming if you're interested in that sort of thing. Layer 1 for sure, I think will do very well. And then within those categories, you can break it up in a multitude of ways. Like decentralized finance, I look at ones that are borrowing and lending, and I try to compare them against one another, figuring one or all of them should do well. Exchanges are different than the borrowing and lending platforms. That's another form of decentralized finance. So you can look at those within a category. Then you can also look at, well, I might want to go, if you jump into one, let's go into DPIN, and you look at the list, and it's by market cap. You might say to yourself, if I was looking at this list, the first one that jumps out at me is Render and Filecoin. Now those 2 are DPIN, decentralized physical infrastructure, but they're very different. So I might say, you know what? I want 2 large market cap ones. I'm going to go with these 2. And then I might work my way down, look at other things I'm interested in. I own some Aether and others, and they're smaller market caps, meaning, the size, they're not a 4 billion, they might be a 400 million. Theoretically, they might be able to grow exponentially larger, faster in terms of multiples of how much the price may gain. And then you might want to go after a couple small ones. Maybe you throw 10,000 at the big, 5,000 at the medium, and 1,000 at the small. Whatever it is, up to you. But those are different ways to diversify. All right, now, thirdly, I think it's important, and I always like to use this particular one, Hedera, because I like Hedera, but I like its chart more importantly because it was just in 2024 when it was at 4 cents. And I did a video about that, and people bought it off my video. My buy-in price, because I bought it for a while, is around 8 or 9 cents. But think about this. This is very important. If you buy in now, you're at 18 cents. It peaked around 40 cents. It wicked up, but let's just say 36. Easy math. If you buy in now and it gets to 36 cents, you're going to 2x your money. However, there are people that bought in at 4 cents. And at 32 cents, before you even double, they're going to 8x. They might be out. Important to look at the charts and say, is everyone on a level playing field? If this chart was everybody's buy-in was 18 cents or more, that's a different story. But this wasn't that long ago. Now, I'm not talking about 4 cents 4 years ago. This was very recent that it was substantially lower. Okay, to me that makes a difference, and it's going to make it choppier as it goes up because people are going to be bailing much earlier than you might want to bail. Just good to know. Then the second thing I think is very important. A lot of people talk about this, but it's layers to get out at. So you might say to yourself, well, I'm going to sell everything because I think it's going to go all the way up to $1.20. Or, whoops, it's not $1.20. Up here somewhere. So I'm just going to wait till it gets there. Well, what if it never does? So what you may want to do, I definitely suggest you do. Did I give my disclaimer today? Big dumb animal, don't know what I'm doing. Big dumb animal, informational purposes only. Don't do what I do. Okay. So I might look at it and say, well, if my price is 10 cents and I get to 40 cents, I might get out at that price. Maybe 10% of what I've got or 20%. And then if I look based on various factors, I might say there's a 60 cent level and then maybe there's like a 90 cent level. And then I might let some run. So here's the way I look at it just real quick. I've got videos on this, but 2 rules that I think are interesting. One, I call it the 4x break-even rule. And that is if the price goes up 4 times what you paid and you sell 25% of your stuff, you have broken even. You have gotten back your capital. You invest $1,000. It goes to $4,000. You sell 25%. 25% of $4,000 is $1,000. So now you've broken even. So no matter what happens, you're not going to lose money. You got your investment capital back. And you're still holding 75% of it. Great. The other thing I like to do is when I put in my sales levels, let's say I'm selling 25%, 25%, and 25%. Well, I don't want to miss out on myself being wrong, which happens a lot. And this happens to run up to $2. And I feel like an idiot because I sold out way less. So I like to leave some and let it run, meaning I'm just going to pick a price in the future as to what I'm going to get out at. Who knows? So that other 25%, I don't have a level for. Those are 2 rules I think are important. It doesn't matter what the rules are for you, but have them and think of them ahead of time. I love the 25% out at 4x personally. A lot of you are going to say, well, you're leaving money on the table. But in my mind, I'm really worried of a downfall because as you'll notice, some of these are so small market caps and they're not on many exchanges and there's not a lot of liquidity. And that means that it is going to fall a lot faster. Just think of yourself holding on to a concrete brick that weighs 25 pounds. Throw that thing as high as you can. It doesn't go up very high and it goes up pretty slow. But then watch it come down. It goes a lot faster. That's how the market's going to work. Then lastly, let's just say because of what you're letting run, you want to make sure you've got in your mind some of these different total market indicators. Like this is the total market, TOTAL. It shows you the entire market. Some people are forecasting 8 trillion, 10 trillion. We'll keep an eye on it because if it starts, this happens to be one of many indicators, but when these cross, it's somewhat of a buy. And it didn't say sell up here, but it sold sell over here, saying buy over here. But if you're looking at like 50-day, 200-day moving averages, get an idea for when the total market starts to turn. because that means you might want to start getting out of things. Or maybe you're just looking at everything except for the top 10, which is others. I guess it's the top 125, but it's the majority of the larger market cap ones. When does that market start to turn, right? Look how if it's going in this direction, based on some of the moving averages, you might want to get out. So that was it for today. I hope that's helpful. First thing is, I believe we are in pre-season. I think Bitcoin season's already started. We've been in it for a long time. Ethereum season, I believe, has started. Now we're watching to see it move in. Quite possibly, if the Fed were to drop rates, that might be a catalyst for things really taking off. If that's the case, that gives us about 18 to 20 days to start moving things around and putting a plan together. I highly recommend. I know I'm older and you're probably younger, but get a piece of paper, get a pen and write things down. Write down your plan, how you think you might want to get out of them, when, that sort of thing, so you have a plan when you go in. Otherwise, you're going to watch everything go up and everything go down, and you're going to feel terrible. Have a great day. Hope this was helpful. Hope we can all make generational wealth together with crypto. Thanks for watching.